Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures, where humanity always rises. The small alien escape ship floated alone in the endless dark, moving slowly, like a dying starfish in deep space. No lights were working, no engines were alive, and no hope was left inside the ship. The air was cold and thin, and every sound felt loud even in the silent void outside. Inside the damaged ship, a group of young alien survivors huddled together, trembling with fear. Their faces showed hunger, pain, and confusion, because they did not know if they would live long enough to see another sunrise. Their home world was gone, their families were gone, and their future was now only darkness. One of the older aliens, a girl named Reelin, tried to keep the younger ones calm, but she was scared too. She had seen something terrible before the escape, the hunters who destroyed their world. She remembered their ships, fast and cruel, like metal beasts with burning red eyes. They killed without mercy and chased anyone who tried to escape. Now, drifting in the cold space, Reelin feared those hunters might find them again. The small escape ship had sent a distress signal before losing power, but they did not know if anyone friendly would hear it. And even worse, they knew the signal might also attract enemies. Fear lived in every corner of the dark ship. The youngest child, Tila, whispered, "Will they come for us?" Her voice was shaking. Reelin wanted to say something comforting, but she had no answers. She only hugged the child tighter. Suddenly, a faint vibration passed through the broken metal floor. At first, the aliens thought it was just the ship dying slowly. But then the vibration grew stronger. The children looked around with wide eyes. For a moment, they thought the hunters had returned to finish the job. The air inside the ship began to hum softly, and a soft glow appeared outside the window. Reelin crawled to the edge of the cracked window and looked out. Her heart froze. Something huge was moving toward them through the darkness. A giant shadow covered the escaped ship, blocking the light of distant stars. The survivors screamed in fear, thinking a hunter battleship had found them. Reelin held Tila close and whispered, "Stay quiet, stay hidden." But as the giant ship moved closer, a soft blue light shone beneath it. No hunter ship used blue light. Hunters used red, always red like fire and blood. This was different, cleaner, calmer, almost warm. A deep voice echoed through the escape pod speakers, startling everyone inside. "Unidentified vessel, this is the human rescue cruiser Solace Dawn. We have received your distress signal. We are approaching to assist you." The survivors looked at each other in disbelief. Humans? They had heard stories about humans, strange stories told by travelers. Some said humans were wild. Some said they were dangerous. Some said humans fought without fear and survived anything. Others said humans were unpredictable monsters. The young ones had always believed the scary stories. Even Reelin was unsure what kind of creatures humans truly were. The voice returned again, calm and warm. "We see your ship is in critical condition. Please remain where you are. We are sending rescue teams." Reelin tried to understand. Why would humans help them? What would they gain? No one ever helped their species. They were considered weak, small, and unimportant in the galaxy. Many races called them strays, not worth saving. So why were humans coming? The alien children stared through the window as bright blue rescue beams connected the human ship to their escape pod. The metal doors of the alien ship shook as tools cut through them. The children backed away, terrified of what might enter. The door finally opened with a loud hiss, releasing cold air into the warm corridor of the human vessel. Through the opening stepped a tall human, wearing a white rescue suit and a glowing blue visor. He raised his hand slowly, showing he had no weapon. "It's okay," the human said in a gentle voice. "You're safe now." The children did not move. They had never seen a human before. The human rescuer slowly kneeled down, so he would not look frightening. "My name is Captain Hale," he said softly. "We came because you asked for help, and because no one deserves to be alone out here." Something in his voice felt honest. Reelin took a small step forward. "Are you really here to save us?" she asked in a shaking voice. The human nodded. "Yes, we do not leave people behind." The children felt confused. Their species had been ignored by many. Some races even laughed at them. But humans were different. Captain Hale extended his hand toward them, not grabbing, not pulling, just waiting. Slowly, one by one, the frightened alien children stepped out of the cold escape pod and into the bright hallway of the human rescue ship. The moment they crossed the threshold, warmth wrapped around them. Clean air, safe light, calm voices. Everything felt unreal. But behind the human ship, far away in the shadows of space, a silent figure watched. A hunter ship had detected the alien energy signature. It marked the human rescue vessel. It locked onto its trail, and in its cold digital memory, one message flashed brightly. Target found. The humans did not know it yet. The aliens did not know it yet. But danger was coming. The hunters were far from finished. The human rescue team guided the frightened alien survivors through the bright metal halls of the Solace Dawn. But even with the warm lights and calm voices, fear followed the children like a shadow. None of them had ever been inside a human ship before, and every sound felt new and strange. The humans walked slowly, making sure not to scare them, but the aliens stayed close to each other, gripping each other's hands tightly. Captain Hale kept speaking in a soft tone, explaining where they were going, but the children did not fully trust his words yet. They remembered the stories told about humans, stories of warriors, fighters, strange creatures who never backed down from battles. Some aliens said humans were unpredictable, that they could show kindness 1 second and unleash fire the next. Rylan looked around nervously, trying to understand why humans would help a group of forgotten strays. Humans usually help their allies, not weak races like hers. As they walked, a human medic approached them with a scanner that made a soft humming noise. The young aliens panicked, stepping back quickly. The medic raised her hands peacefully. "It will not hurt," she promised gently. Rylan swallowed hard and allowed the scan. The scanner beeped as it checked for injuries. The medic frowned and whispered something to Captain Hale. Rylan caught only a part of it. Malnutrition, stress, extreme trauma. Words that felt heavy. Captain Hale nodded and motioned for the team to continue. They arrived at the medical bay, a large clean room filled with soft beds, glowing instruments, and warm air. The children stopped at the doorway, afraid to enter. Tila clung to Rylan's arm and whispered, "What if they hurt us?" Rylan did not know how to answer. Her own heart was beating fast. She remembered the hunters, the way they destroyed everything. What if humans were like them, but smiling outside? Captain Hale noticed their fear and spoke again. "No one here will harm you. You have my word." His eyes were steady, his voice firm but kind. Slowly, Rylan stepped inside. The others followed, still trembling. The humans offered food, soft warm bread and clear water. The aliens stared at it like it was a trap. Rylan touched the food first, bit a tiny piece, and realized it was safe. Only then did the others begin to eat. Some of the children cried as they tasted real food for the first time in days. Hale and his team stepped back to give them space. As the aliens ate, the human doctor ran quiet scans from a distance. She noted their injuries, their weakness, and the strange energy signature faintly glowing inside their bodies. Humans had never seen this kind of energy before. "Captain," the doctor whispered, "these children, they're carrying something unusual." Hale frowned. "Dangerous?" he asked. The doctor shook her head. "Not sure. It's unique, but I don't think they know about it." Hale looked at the children again, now calmer as they ate. Rylan noticed the humans talking quietly, and her fear returned. She moved to Tila and whispered, "Stay close. Watch them." But then the door opened, and another human entered, a tall officer with sharp eyes and a serious voice. "Captain Hale," he said, "we picked up long-range signals. Something was following their escape pod." The atmosphere changed instantly. Rylan felt the tension even though she did not understand the words. The officer lowered his voice. "The signature matches hunter ships." The blood drained from Hale's face. "How far?" "Close. Too close." Rylan felt her stomach twist. Hunters. The monsters who destroyed her world. The ones who killed her family. If the hunters found them again, even humans would not be able to stop them. The officer continued, They seemed to pull back when we arrived, but they're still tracking the children. Hale looked at the young survivors, and then at his officer. We protect them, he said firmly. No matter what. Rylan saw Hale's expression, serious, determined, not afraid. It confused her. Why would humans risk their own safety for strangers? Tila tugged at Rylan's sleeve and whispered, Do they know? About the hunters? Rylan nodded slowly. I think they do. Suddenly, loud alarms echoed through the ship for a few seconds, then stopped. The lights dimmed, then returned to normal. The alien children panicked instantly, thinking an attack had started. Tila screamed and hid under a medical bed. The other children followed. Captain Hale quickly raised his hands. It's okay. It's okay, he shouted. Just a system scan. No danger. But the damage was already done. The aliens were shaking with fear. Hale stepped closer, his voice softening. No harm will come to you here. Rylan stepped forward. Why? She asked, her voice trembling but strong. Why help us? We are nothing. People call us strays. They say we are weak. They say saving us has no value. Hale stared at her with disbelief. Whoever said that was wrong. Rylan blinked. She thought he was joking, but his eyes were serious. No life is worthless, Hale continued. Not in human space. Not on my ship. For the first time, Rylan felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Not trust, not yet, but something close to hope. Before she could speak, the officer returned. Captain, they're moving again. The hunter ship changed direction. It's coming after us. Silence filled the room. The alien children froze. Rylan felt her breath stop. The hunters had found them. Hale looked at her and said in a steady voice, We will not let them take you. You're safe with us. But in the dark space behind the Solace Dawn, far from human eyes, a hunter ship opened its red glowing wings and began to accelerate. Its engines roared like a beast waking up. It had locked onto the energy signature. It would not stop. It would not slow. It would not forgive. And it would not forget. The hunt had begun again. The Solace Dawn moved through space with quiet engines, but inside the ship, nothing felt calm. The alien survivors sat together in the medical bay, trying to rest, but fear kept their eyes wide open. They could feel something was wrong. They could feel danger following them like a cold shadow. Rylan watched the humans work, their faces serious and focused. She could tell they were hiding something from the children, something big. Captain Hale stood near a screen showing maps and signals. The glowing red dot on the display was moving, slow at first, then faster. Hale spoke in a low voice to his officer. How long until they reach our range? The officer replied, If they continue at this speed, they'll be within striking distance in 1 hour. 1 hour. Rylan didn't understand human time perfectly, but she could tell from Hale's expression that 1 hour was not long. She stepped closer carefully, unsure if she should listen or stay back. Hale noticed her and turned toward her. His face softened, but he did not lie. Rylan, he said, the hunters are coming. Her body froze. Her heart dropped into her stomach. She knew it was only a matter of time before the hunters found them again. Tila, who had been hiding behind Rylan, began to cry silently. Rylan pulled her close. We should leave, Rylan whispered. If they are hunting us, then maybe you should not keep us here. Hale shook his head firmly. No, we don't abandon people. Not to monsters. Rylan felt confused. Humans talk strangely. Most species in the galaxy avoided danger. They did not fight for strangers. But humans were different. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. A deep rumble passed through the metal floor. The children gasped. A human engineer rushed into the room. Captain, they're scanning us. Long-range sweep. They know we have the children. Hale cursed under his breath. So they expected resistance. They're not just random hunters. They're organized. The engineer nodded. And worst of all, they're sending coded messages to someone else. Rylan stepped forward, fear tightening her chest. Who? She asked. The engineer hesitated. More hunters. Silence filled the medical bay like thick smoke. Tila gripped Rylan's wrist so tightly it hurt. The other children huddled closer, their eyes full of terror. Reelin felt the old memories rising again, the burning sky, the loud screams, the hunter ships tearing through their city, the way her mother had pushed her into the escape pod just seconds before the house exploded. She felt the same helplessness now. But the humans were not helpless. Captain Hale ordered, "Activate stealth shield. Divert power from lower decks." His officer nodded and moved quickly. The ship dimmed too fast. The sudden darkness made the alien children panic. Hale raised his hand again, calming them. "It's only lights. Nothing dangerous. We're hiding from the hunters." Reelin found herself watching Hale closely. He was too calm, too controlled. It was strange. Humans were supposed to be wild, unpredictable, emotional. But Captain Hale stood like a shield made of steel. Strong, unmoving, determined. She felt something shift inside her. Maybe humans were not monsters. Maybe the stories were wrong. The ship moved into a dark region of space, where the stars became fewer and the light grew thin. The stealth shield around the Solace Dawn shimmered like invisible fog. For a while, the ship felt peaceful again. But then the officer returned, breathing hard. "Captain," he said, "the hunters changed their pattern. They're not scanning anymore." Hale frowned. "Why?" The officer swallowed. "Because they already found us." Reelin felt her knees weaken. The children cried again. The screens lit up with bright red shapes. 3 hunter ships approaching from different angles. "A perfect trap," Tila whispered. "We're going to die." Hale knelt in front of her, looking into her frightened eyes. "Not while I'm here," he said with absolute confidence. "And not while you're on my ship." Tila stared at him, confused but comforted. Reelin watched the moment closely. Humans and her kind were not alike, yet somehow Hale made the young girl feel safe. The captain stood again and turned to his crew. "Prepare defensive moves. No weapons unless they fire first." The officer nodded. "But Captain, they will fire." Hale took a slow breath. "Then we will protect who we can." The ship tilted as it changed direction, trying to escape the hunters. The aliens felt the gravity shift and clung to the medical beds. Reelin looked out the small window and saw something terrifying. 3 red lights forming a triangle in the distance. Hunter ships. Their wings glowing like open jaws ready to bite. The human crew moved quickly. Screens flashed. Engines roared. Shields strengthened. But nothing stopped the hunters. They moved faster and faster, closing the distance. Reelin felt helpless. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But there was nowhere to go. Tila whispered again. "Why do they want us? We did nothing." Reelin had no answer. She had always asked the same question. Why destroy the weak? Why chase children? Why wipe out a quiet, harmless race? The humans had asked the same question too. And soon, they might discover the truth. The hunter ships changed formation, forming a spear shape. They were preparing for an attack run. Hale shouted, "Brace for impact." The alien children grabbed each other tightly. The humans grabbed the control rails. The Solace Dawn shook violently as the hunters opened fire. Explosions lit the dark space. The first battle had begun. The Solace Dawn shook again as another blast hit the outer shields. But this time the human defenses held stronger. The hunters circled like metal wolves, waiting for a moment of weakness. Inside the ship, alarms flashed red, and the alien survivors huddled in fear. Reelin kept her arms around the youngest ones, trying to calm them even when her own heart felt ready to stop. Captain Hale stood firm on the bridge, watching the hunters pattern on the display. Their movements were too coordinated, too perfect, like they knew exactly what the Solace Dawn would do next. Hale whispered, "This isn't a normal hunter group, something's guiding them." Meanwhile, deep inside the medical bay, the human doctor checked the alien children again. She scanned their bodies carefully, her brows tightening with every result. The strange energy she detected earlier was growing stronger, almost pulsing under their skin. She had never seen anything like it. The scanner beeped loudly, and Reelin noticed. "What is wrong?" she asked, trying to sound brave. The doctor hesitated. She didn't want to scare them, but she couldn't hide the truth. "There is something inside all of you, something powerful." Reelin froze. The children stared in confusion. "Inside us," Tila whispered, touching her chest like she expected something to burst out. The doctor nodded slowly. "Yes, it's like an energy core. Very rare. Very bright." Reelin felt her stomach twist. She remembered her parents speaking in hushed voices long ago, saying their bloodline carried something ancient, something the galaxy should never discover. But she never understood what it meant. The doctor continued, "This energy, it's attracting the hunters. They are tracking it. They want whatever is inside you." Reelin gasped, finally understanding the reason behind the destruction of her home planet. It wasn't random. It wasn't cruelty. It was a hunt for whatever lived inside her species. Before she could speak, the ship shook again as a hunter blast hit the shields. Captain Hale appeared at the door, his face serious, but calm. "We need answers," he said. "Now." The doctor turned to him. "Captain, the children are carrying a rare energy signature. Whatever it is, it's attracting the hunters." Hale looked at Reelin. "Did your people know about this?" Reelin hesitated. Her hands trembled. "My parents, they spoke of something. Something our people carried for generations. But no one knew how to use it. We were told to hide it, to stay quiet." Hale stepped closer, lowering his voice. "What is this energy? A weapon? A key? A threat?" Reelin shook her head. "No, it was never used. We didn't know what it was. But some said it belonged to the first guardians of the galaxy. Old stories, very old." Hale exchanged a worried glance with the doctor. If this energy is ancient and powerful, then the hunters might be after it for control. Reelin's eyes widened. "Is that why they destroyed us? Because of something we didn't even understand?" Hale nodded slowly. "It makes sense now." Tila began to cry again. "We didn't do anything wrong," she sobbed. Hale knelt beside her. "I know, and that's why we will protect you." But even as he said the words, the ship shook harder than before. The officer burst into the room. "Captain, shields at 60%. The hunters are preparing a full strike." Hale rose to his feet. "Move the children to the inner safe chamber. Full lockdown." The humans guided the aliens quickly through the corridors. The ship groaned as lasers hit the outer hull. Metal screamed. Lights flickered. Reelin kept looking over her shoulder, expecting to see fire or hunters breaking through the walls. The safe chamber door opened automatically, revealing a room with thick metal walls and a large glowing device in the center that pulsed like a heartbeat. Hale explained while guiding them inside. "This chamber is shielded from scans. The hunters won't detect you here." The children stepped in, but Reelin hesitated. "Captain, what if we bring danger to you? What if staying with us kills all of you?" Hale looked directly into her eyes. "Danger follows everyone, but we choose who we protect. Humans don't leave the innocent behind." Reelin felt her throat tighten. Humans were so different from her people, yet their kindness felt real. Before she could answer, the ship rocked violently again, almost throwing everyone to the floor. The officer shouted from the hallway, "Captain, they're firing a breach round. It will tear through the hull." Hale's eyes widened. "Brace." A loud boom echoed through the ship. Metal cracked. Sparks flew. The lights went out for a full second before emergency lights flickered on. The hunters had damaged the outer hull, but not enough to break through entirely. The Solace Dawn still held strong. Reelin felt her heart racing. How long until they break through? Hale inhaled sharply. "Not long." The doctor stepped forward. "Captain, the energy inside these children, it's reacting to the danger." Hale turned to her. "Reacting how?" The doctor pointed at Reelin's arms. Faint glowing lines, like tiny blue veins, shined under her skin. Reelin gasped and covered them, frightened. "What is happening to me?" The doctor shook her head. "I don't know, but it's getting stronger. Maybe the energy is trying to protect you." Hale looked at the glowing lines, then at the sealed chamber. "Whatever this energy is, we need to learn how to use it. Fast." Outside in space, the hunter ships shifted into attack formation. Their red engines brightened like burning suns. Their wings opened, their weapons locked on. The hunters were ready to kill anyone who protected the children. and the Solace Dawn was the only thing standing between the innocent and total destruction. Hale tightened his fists. If they want the children, they'll have to go through us. And the next wave of the battle began. The first hunter attack struck the Solace Dawn with brutal force, shaking the entire ship like a toy in a storm, and the alien children screamed as the floor vibrated beneath them. Captain Hale rushed to the bridge, while ordering the crew to lock down every door. Red alarms flashed across the walls, and the sound of warning sirens filled the air, but Hale's voice remained steady as he shouted commands. Shields at 40%. Reroute power from Cargo Bay 3. The officer at the controls typed fast, sweat dripping down his forehead. They're targeting our engines, Captain. If they disable us, we're done. Hale clenched his jaw. Not today. Outside, the hunter ships moved with terrifying precision, their red lights glowing like the eyes of hungry beasts. They circled the Solace Dawn before firing again, sending a wave of burning energy across the shields. Inside the ship, Reelin and the younger survivors clung to each other in the safe chamber. Tila buried her face into Reelin's arms, shaking as the ship groaned loudly. They're going to break through, she cried. Reelin hugged her tightly. No, the humans won't let them. But even as she said the words, fear crawled through her chest like cold metal. This was the first time she had seen humans fight, and she didn't know if they were strong enough. The doctor monitored the glowing lines on Reelin's skin that had appeared earlier. They were brighter now, reacting to danger as if the energy inside her body was waking up. Reelin, the doctor whispered. Can you feel anything strange? Reelin nodded slowly. It feels like warmth, like something moving inside me. The doctor looked worried. This might be the same energy the hunters want. If it grows stronger, they may attack harder. Reelin swallowed hard. Then stop it. But the doctor shook her head. I don't know how. On the bridge, Hale watched the hunters split into two groups, one circling behind, one preparing a direct strike. They're trying to overwhelm the shields, the officer said. If they break through, they'll board the ship. Hale looked at the large screen, showing the hunter formations. Aim at their engines. Do not aim to kill. The officer hesitated. Captain, they won't show us mercy. Hale's voice hardened. We are not them. Fire-controlled shots only. The human ship opened fire with precision lasers that hit engine modules and weapon ports, making the hunter ships jerk off course. Reelin saw flashes of light through the small window in the safe chamber and felt something strange, trust. Humans were fighting for them. Not for glory, not for reward, but because they believed saving them mattered. The ship shook again as another hit landed. Shields at 20%, a crew member shouted. Hale gritted his teeth. Prepare emergency armor plating. The defensive panels on the ship's hull activated with a loud metallic boom, adding another layer of protection. But the hunters adapted fast, shifting their attacks to weak points. One hunter ship crashed close and released a magnetic blast that knocked out the left side engines for a moment. The Solace Dawn spun before stabilizing, and the children inside screamed as gravity lurched sideways. Hale shouted, "Stabilizers back online." The engineer yelled from his station, "Trying, Captain. The hunters are blocking our power relays." Hale slammed his fist against the console. "Keep us steady. We can't lose control now." Meanwhile, the glowing energy inside the alien children grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Reelin felt heat rising in her arms, her chest, her spine. She pressed her hand against the wall, and for a moment the metal hummed under her touch. The doctor stepped back in shock. "The energy is responding to the ship," she whispered. "It's interacting with the systems." Reelin panicked. "I don't want this. Make it stop." "I can't," the doctor replied. "But maybe it can help us." Reelin stared at her. "Help? How?" The doctor pointed at the glowing veins. "Whatever this energy is, that's ancient and powerful. If it's waking up, maybe it can strengthen the shields." Reelin's eyes widened. "I don't know how to use it." The doctor placed her hand on Reelin's shoulder. "Maybe you don't need to. Just focus on protection. Think of keeping the children safe." Reelin closed her eyes and tried to calm her racing heart. She pictured Tila and the others, frightened and helpless. She imagined shield around them, something bright and warm, and slowly, the glowing veins on her skin brightened. On the bridge, the officer gasped, "Captain, the shields, they're increasing." Hale looked at the readings in disbelief. "Impossible. We don't have the power for that." The officer shook his head. "It's not coming from our generators. It's coming from inside the ship." Hale realized what was happening. The children. The hunters fired again, but this time the shields held much stronger, glowing bright blue instead of the usual pale white. The hunter ships hesitated for the first time, confused by the sudden increase in human defenses. Hale ordered, "Take advantage of the pause. Hit their engines again." The Solace Dawn fired a precise volley that struck the lead hunter ship, sending it spinning. Another hunter ship lost control after its weapons overheated. The third ship backed away, missiles still armed but no longer rushing forward. Reelin felt the energy draining from her body, her knees shaking. The doctor rushed to support her as the glowing veins slowly faded. "You did it," the doctor whispered. "You helped us survive." Reelin breathed heavily. "But the hunters will come again." And she was right, because outside in the dark space, the damaged hunter ships retreated only to regroup. Their red lights flickered like angry eyes. Their weapons recharged, and their leader sent out a message, "Bring reinforcements. The humans are stronger than expected." The battle was far from over. The hunters did not wait long before returning, and the Solace Dawn had only a few minutes of quiet before the alarms rang again, echoing through every hallway of the human ship. Captain Hale stood on the bridge with a cold expression as the radar filled with red dots. More hunter ships, larger ones, heavier ones, and all of them moving with deadly intent. "They brought a whole fleet," the officer whispered, fear tightening his voice. Hale nodded slowly. "They want the children badly. They will not leave without them." The hunters did something unexpected this time. They opened communications. A chilling, distorted voice filled the bridge, and the lights flickered as if the sound itself carried weight. "Humans," the hunter commander hissed, "surrender the strays. They do not belong to you. Give them to us, and we will let you live." Hale's jaw tightened. "We don't hand over children to monsters." The hunter voice sharpened. "Those children carry something ancient and powerful. They are not yours to protect." Hale responded, "Then you should have protected them instead of hunting them." Silence fell for a moment, and then the hunter commander growled, "You have 1 hour. Refuse, and we will tear your ship apart piece by piece." The communication ended, leaving a cold stillness behind. Hale exhaled slowly. "They're not bluffing. Prepare for heavy impact. Lock every corridor. Place security teams at all airlocks." Meanwhile, deep inside the safe chamber, Reelin sat on the floor, trying to catch her breath. Her body still felt weak after using the strange energy earlier, and her hands trembled every time she lifted them. Tila hugged her arm tightly. "Are the bad ships coming back?" she asked in a small voice. Reelin nodded. "Yes, but we are not alone." The doctor monitored the children's readings and frowned. "The hunters want the energy inside you. It means your abilities will get stronger with time. We need to understand it before it hurts you." Reelin shook her head. "I don't care about power. I just want everyone safe." But even she could feel something changing, like a sleeping force inside her was slowly waking up with every danger. On the bridge, Hale gathered his senior officers around the central table. A hologram of the hunter fleet floated above the surface, glowing blood red. "They outnumber us 10 to 1, the tactical officer warned. "Their weapons are stronger than ours, and our engines are still damaged." The engineer added, "We can't outrun them, and we can't win a direct fight." Hale stared at the hologram with a hard expression. "Then we don't fight directly." The officers looked confused. Hale pointed to a location on the map. "There's a nebula nearby. Ion clouds strong enough to scramble sensors. We can hide inside long enough to repair the engines." The officer frowned. "But the nebula is violent, Captain. High radiation. Dangerous even for our ship." Hale nodded. "I know. But staying here is certain death. In the nebula, we have a chance." On the hunter flagship, The commander watched the human ship on his screen with burning hatred. Beside him stood a tall hunter priest, covered in glowing symbols. The girl's energy awakened, the priest said. I felt it across the void. She is the key to the heart source. She must be brought to us. The commander hissed. The humans are hiding her. They think protecting her makes them noble, but they do not know what she holds. The priest tapped his staff on the ground. If the heart source fully awakens inside her, she will become uncontrollable. Even you will not be able to contain her. The commander growled. Then we will take her before that happens. Back on the Solace Dawn, Hale made his decision. Set course for the nebula, he ordered. Keep our shields at maximum and prepare for storm turbulence. The engines roared as the ship turned sharply. The hunter fleet reacted instantly, sending out pursuit ships. The officer shouted, Captain, they're locking on. Multiple missiles incoming. Hale stood firm. Release countermeasures. Keep moving. Explosive trails lit up space as missiles chased the human ship. Defensive drones deployed behind the Solace Dawn, firing energy nets that slowed the missiles, causing some to explode early. But not all. One missile broke through and slammed against the rear shields, shaking the entire ship violently. Reelan and the children fell to the floor as the lights flickered and the walls rattled with the impact. Tila cried, Make it stop! Make it stop! Reelan held her tightly. Just a little more. The humans are trying. The doctor checked the monitor. The nebula is close, but the hunters are faster. Hale watched the map closely, hands steady despite the chaos around him. We just need to reach the outer clouds. Once we enter, their sensors will fail. Another explosion rocked the ship. Shields at 15%, the officer yelled. The hull creaked dangerously. Hale shouted, Everyone brace. We're entering the nebula. The moment the Solace Dawn crossed the boundary, the world outside turned into swirling clouds of blue lightning and dark smoke. Sparks of energy danced across the hull like angry spirits. The hunters fired again, but their missiles lost lock, spinning in different directions before vanishing into the storm. The hunters slowed down, confused. Their sensors flickered with white static. Where did they go? The hunter commander roared. The priest touched his staff to the floor. The humans hide in the storm, but the girl's energy still glows. I can feel her. She will reveal herself soon. Inside the nebula, the Solace Dawn rattled under storm pressure. Bolts of ion lightning hit the shields, causing bright flashes and loud cracks. The officer yelled, If this continues, the hull may rip apart. Hale's voice remained calm. Hold course. We need time. Keep searching for a stable pocket. Reelan felt the storm energy around them, chaotic and wild. Her glowing veins flickered weakly in response. Tila looked at her with wide eyes. Are you doing that? Reelan whispered, No, the storm is calling to the energy inside me. The doctor stared in shock as the energy in Reelan's body pulsed, slowly waking again. Hale stood at the front of the bridge, staring into the swirling storm. We escaped the hunters for now, he said quietly. But what waits inside this nebula may be even more dangerous. And far behind them, hidden in the shifting clouds, an enormous shadow moved. Something ancient, something powerful, something the nebula had kept asleep for centuries. And now, because of Reelan's energy, it was waking up. The Solace Dawn drifted deeper into the nebula, wrapped in storms of blue lightning and shifting clouds that glowed like ghost fire. The engines struggled, the lights flickered, and every metal part of the ship groaned under the pressure of the violent ion winds. Captain Hale stood at the front of the bridge, staring ahead with steady eyes, but even he felt a cold uneasiness crawling up his spine. Something in the nebula felt wrong, not just dangerous, alive. Reelan sat beside the children in the safe chamber, trying to calm their shaking bodies as the ship trembled again. The doctor checked her readings, shocked at what he saw. Reelan, your energy is responding to something outside. Something huge. Reelan felt it too. A strange pulse, like a deep heartbeat, echoed through her bones. The nebula storm didn't scare her as much as that heartbeat did. It felt ancient, powerful, almost hungry. The lights went out for a moment, plunging the Solace Dawn into darkness. Tila gasped and grabbed Rylan's hand. Before anyone could react, the lights flashed back on, dim and flickering. On the bridge, the officer looked at the sensors with wide, terrified eyes. "Captain, something is moving out there. Something massive. I can't get a clear reading." Hale stepped closer. The screen flickered with white static, then displayed a huge shadow moving between the thick clouds. It was larger than any hunter ship, larger than the Solace Dawn, maybe even larger than a Capital War cruiser. "What is that?" the engineer whispered. Another shadow moved, then another. 3 giant shapes circling slowly, almost as if they were waking from a long sleep. The ship suddenly shook, but not from lightning. Something outside had pushed against them, something large enough to disturb the entire nebula around them. Hale tightened his grip on the control rail. "We're not alone in here." The giant shadow drifted closer, and for a second, a glowing blue eye, big as a dropship, opened in the darkness. Tila screamed and buried her face in Rylan's arm. Even Rylan felt her heart freeze. The creatures were not machines. They were alive, ancient beings made of light and storm, drifting through the nebula like sleeping gods. The doctor whispered, "Nebula Guardians. I thought they were only a myth." The ship's sensors crackled again, showing fragments of long shapes with glowing patterns that twisted like runes. Hale spoke to the officer. "Keep us at slow speed. Don't provoke them." But the Guardians were already moving closer, drawn toward something. Toward Rylan. Her veins lit up softly, the blue glow spreading through her arms. She tried to hide it, but the energy pulsed harder, shaking her from inside. I can't control it," she whispered. Tila and the other children backed away as the glow grew brighter. The doctor grabbed his scanner. "It's reacting to the nebula. The ancient energy here is waking up the same force inside you." The Guardians outside turned sharply, their glowing eyes focusing on the Solace Dawn as though they sensed the same familiar energy. Hale saw the movement from the bridge. "Why are they locking onto us?" The officer swallowed hard. They're coming toward the safe chamber's direction, Captain." Hale instantly understood. Because of Rylan. The ship trembled again, not from the storm, but from something hitting the outer hull. One of the Guardians pressed its massive, glowing head against the ship, like it was trying to sense what was inside. The metal shook like it might break. Tila cried, "They're going to eat us." Rylan shook her head, though fear twisted her stomach. "No, they're curious. They feel the same energy I have." The Guardians didn't attack. Instead, they circled the ship, glowing brighter with every pass. Hale made a quick decision. "I'm going down to the safe chamber. Hold the bridge." He ran through the shaking corridors, passing flickering lights and sparks falling from the ceiling. When he reached the chamber, he saw the blue light glowing through the door window like a small star was trapped inside. Hale entered slowly, hands raised. "Rylan, you need to stay calm." She looked up, fear and confusion in her eyes. "I don't know what's happening to me." Hale knelt in front of her, keeping his voice steady. "Something in this nebula recognizes your energy. But you are not alone. We will face this together." Suddenly, the ship jerked violently, throwing everyone to the floor. A deep roar echoed through the hull, so powerful it felt like thunder inside their bones. Tila screamed, "It's angry." The doctor checked the sensors. No, something else woke up. Something bigger than the Guardians. Hale rushed back to the bridge with Rylan and the children following. The moment they entered, the main screen lit up with a massive blue shape rising in the distance. Bigger than mountains. Bigger than any creature anyone had ever recorded. A Guardian Titan. The officer shouted, "Captain, it's heading straight for us." Rylan's veins glowed brighter, responding to the Titan's energy. The ship's alarms wailed. The hull shook harder. Lightning cracked around them. Hale stood tall, eyes fixed on the massive creature approaching. If the Guardians want Rylan, what does the Titan want? Rylan felt the answer before anyone spoke. Her eyes widened. "It wants to test me." A cold silence took the bridge. Then the Titan opened its colossal, glowing mouth, and the nebula storm exploded outward like a world ending. The real trial had begun. The Solace Dawn shook violently as the nebula grew darker and the storm winds intensified, lightning cracking across the swirling clouds like angry fingers of fire, and the alien children huddled together, gripping each other tightly as the ship rattled around them. Captain Hale stood at the bridge, his hands on the rails, eyes scanning the flickering sensors with sharp focus. The Hunter fleet had not stopped. They had followed the human ship into the dangerous nebula, ignoring the deadly storm, and now they were closing in, moving like predators that knew the humans had nowhere to run. "Shields at 30%, the officer shouted. "Incoming missiles from the rear fleet." Hale's eyes narrowed. "Deploy countermeasures. Divert power to forward shields and keep engines steady." Explosions erupted in space as glowing missiles slammed into the defensive drones, some missing, some detonating too close to the hull and shaking the ship violently. Inside the safe chamber, Reelan could feel the strange energy pulsing in her veins, reacting to the chaos outside. She pressed her hand to the wall as the ship lurched, and the metal beneath her seemed to hum in response to her glowing energy. Tila and the other children stared in awe, forgetting fear for a moment, mesmerized by the strange light that pulsed from Reelan's body like a heartbeat. The doctor whispered, "It's awakening again. Faster this time." Reelan shook her head. "I don't want it. I just want to be safe." But even as she said it, the energy spread through her arms, legs, and chest, glowing brighter, sending warmth and power into every corner of the safe chamber. On the bridge, Hale barked orders as the Hunter ships changed formation, splitting into two groups to surround the Solace Dawn. The officers' hands moved frantically across the console. "Captain, they're trying to box us in. Forward shields are weakening." Hale gritted his teeth. "Engage evasive maneuvers. Don't let them corner us." The ship tilted violently as engines roared, dodging the first wave of attacks, but a sudden blast hit the port side, throwing Reelan and the children to the floor. Tila screamed. Reelan pressed her glowing hands against the hull, trying to steady it, and for a brief moment, she felt her energy pushing back against the force of the attack, making the ship hum and shiver in harmony with her pulse. "What's happening?" she asked the doctor. The doctor's eyes widened. "Your energy, it's interfacing with the ship's systems. The shields are stronger because of you." Reelan's fear mixed with awe as she realized the strange warmth inside her was saving everyone. The Hunters, noticing the sudden increase in shields, hesitated, their ships swerving slightly to adjust. Hale shouted, "Keep firing controlled blasts at engines. Target propulsion and weapon systems only. Do not destroy them, just disable." Laser beams streaked through the nebula, striking Hunter engines and sending sparks flying as several ships spun out of control. But the storm around the Solace Dawn made every shot risky. Lightning danced along the hull, throwing sensors off and making the children grip each other in fear. Suddenly, one massive Hunter ship broke formation and accelerated toward the human vessel, firing a concentrated energy beam at the main shields. The bridge lights flickered, alarms shrieked, and the hull groaned under the force. "Shields critical. 40% and dropping," the officer shouted. Hale slammed his fist against the console. "Reelan, focus. Use the energy to protect us." Reelan closed her eyes and imagined a glowing barrier around the ship, her heartbeat syncing with the hum of the vessel. The light inside her expanded, pulsating outward like a wave, and for the first time, she felt control over it. The shields glowed bright blue, stronger than before, and the Hunter beam struck, but bounced off harmlessly. The officer stared at the readings. "Captain, the shields, they're beyond full capacity." Hale's jaw tightened. "It's her energy, she's protecting us." Outside, the remaining Hunter ships hesitated again, unsure how to handle the sudden strength of the Solace Dawn. But they did not retreat. They adjusted their attack patterns, circling closer and faster, trying to overwhelm the defenses. The nebula's lightning added chaos, striking Hunter ships and occasionally grazing the Solace Dawn, making the battle even more dangerous. On the safe chamber floor, Reelan's energy glowed brighter with every strike, her pulse racing as she instinctively extended the protective aura around the ship. Tila whispered, "You're making it stop, you're saving us." Reelan nodded, sweat dripping down her face, but fear still gripped her. "I hope I'm enough," she murmured. Meanwhile, Hale's crew coordinated perfectly with her energy. Engineers diverted all remaining power to shields and thrusters, firing every defensive system in sync with the pulsing glow from Reelan. A wave of lasers and energy nets combined with the glowing protective aura, striking Hunter engines, knocking ships out of formation, and forcing others to retreat temporarily. The Hunters roared over the communication channel, confused and frustrated. "Impossible. The humans, what are they doing?" the distorted voice hissed. Hale responded calmly. "We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is all." The battle raged on, the storm flashing with every hit, the Solace Dawn rocking violently, the children trembling, and Reelan glowing brighter than ever, her energy now fully intertwined with the ship. Slowly, the Hunters began to fall back, damaged and unsure, while the Solace Dawn held strong. Hale watched the screens carefully, knowing the fight was far from over, but for now, they had survived the first ambush. Outside the nebula, distant red lights of the remaining Hunter fleet faded slightly into the storm, regrouping, but the Solace Dawn remained alive, strengthened not just by human technology, but by the unexpected, powerful energy of a small alien girl, the strays they had vowed to protect. And in the shadows of the nebula, something ancient stirred, sensing the energy, waiting for the next move. The Solace Dawn pressed deeper into the heart of the nebula, the swirling blue lightning and black clouds pressing against the hull like invisible hands, shaking the ship violently, and the alien children clung to one another, trembling as the storm's roar filled every corridor. Captain Hale stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the flickering sensors, knowing the Hunters were still tracking them and waiting for any chance to strike. The fleet had fallen back slightly, but the red lights on the radar reminded everyone that the threat was far from gone. "Shields are holding," the officer reported, voice tense. "But the storm is making targeting difficult. We're exposed if they find a way through." Hale nodded, gripping the control rail tightly. "Keep engines steady. We cannot let them force us out of the nebula. The storm is our shield for now." Meanwhile, in the safe chamber, Reelan felt her energy pulse faster than ever. The glowing blue veins in her arms and chest flickered and expanded, responding to the storm around them. Tila clutched her arm tightly. "It's so bright. What's happening?" Reelan shook her head, sweat on her forehead. "I don't know, it's like it's alive." The doctor studied the scanner, his face pale. "It's not just your energy, Reelan. It's interacting with the nebula. Something ancient is responding to it. Something massive." Reelan's pulse quickened as a low hum echoed through the chamber, a vibration that resonated in her bones. She pressed her palms against the wall instinctively, and the metal seemed to respond, humming with a deep resonance. Hale noticed fluctuations on the bridge screens. "Captain," the officer said nervously, "there's an enormous energy spike ahead. I can't identify the source. It's alive." Hale stared at the display, realizing that whatever was in the nebula, it was aware of their presence. "All crew, brace for turbulence," he ordered, "and keep your eyes on the sensors. We're not alone." Outside, the storm intensified. Lightning danced across the clouds, illuminating massive shapes moving in the dark, shadows far larger than any Hunter ships. The nebula's guardians, the legendary beings thought to be myths, began to circle the Solace Dawn, their forms glowing faintly with blue light. One enormous guardian slowly emerged from the storm, its glowing eyes fixed on the human vessel, sensing the energy radiating from Reelan. Inside the ship, the children screamed as the chamber trembled violently, but Reelan stood firm, instinctively extending her glowing energy to stabilize the Solace Dawn. The doctor whispered urgently, "It's the energy inside you. It's keeping the ship from being torn apart, but it's growing too strong too fast." Reelan gritted her teeth. I can't stop it." She tried to focus, imagining a shield around the ship, keeping everyone safe, and the glow expanded outward, pulsing like a heartbeat through the walls, the hull, and into the very engines. The storm outside responded immediately, the lightning striking around the Solace Dawn, but not touching it, as if acknowledging the protective energy surrounding the ship. Hale's voice broke through the alarms, calm but firm. "This is it, crew. Rely on the storm and the energy. We survive together." The Solace Dawn lurched as a massive blast from the hunters hit, and the hull screamed in protest. The shields held, bolstered by Ryland's energy, and the hunters' missiles spun harmlessly off course. Sensors on the bridge picked up an enormous presence approaching rapidly. The Titan from earlier, moving closer, drawn by the energy pulsing inside the children. The crew froze, realizing the scale of the danger. "It's coming too fast," the officer shouted. Hale gritted his teeth. "All hands brace. Defensive arrays at maximum. Divert everything to shields." In the safe chamber, Reeling could feel the energy inside her like wildfire. She pressed her palms against the floor and wall, focusing on channeling it outward, feeling the strange power, syncing with the Solace Dawn systems. The glowing lines across her body flared like lightning themselves. Tila and the other children watched in awe, unable to speak, while the doctor whispered, "It's awakening fully, ancient energy, something that hasn't stirred in centuries." Outside, the Guardian Titan loomed enormous, its glowing eyes scanning the ship, pulsing with power. The Solace Dawn groaned under the storm's pressure, but somehow it held, sustained by Ryland's connection. Hale saw the readings spike on the bridge. The energy, it's stabilizing the hull. "I've never seen shields like this." The officer swallowed hard. "Captain, we might actually survive this." The storm intensified further, and the hunter fleet, sensing something unnatural, hesitated. Their engines struggled against the ion currents, and their sensors could not penetrate the swirling clouds. One hunter commander shouted, "They're not just hiding. Something protects them." Red lights flickered across the nebula as the Guardians circled closer, massive forms blending with the storm, sensing the same ancient energy Ryland carried. In the safe chamber, Ryland's glowing veins pulsed faster, as if communicating with the Guardians. Her pulse matched the rhythm of the storm and the vibrations of the ship. She whispered, trembling, "I can feel them. They're listening to me." The doctor placed a hand on her shoulder. "Do what you can. Focus on keeping everyone alive." Hale watched the bridge monitors as the hunters' attack paused, confused by the sudden defensive surge from the Solace Dawn. The storm, the Guardians, and Ryland's energy created a strange balance, keeping the hunters at bay for now. "Hold steady," Hale said, voice low but firm. "We are not out of danger, but we are surviving. And the energy inside the children, it may just be our edge." The Solace Dawn moved carefully through the heart of the nebula, battered but unbroken, the children still trembling yet protected by Ryland's growing power. Outside, the Guardians watched silently, waiting for the next move, their glowing eyes reflecting the blue pulses radiating from the alien girl. The hunters regrouped in the distance, planning their next strike, but for the first time, they hesitated, aware that the humans were not ordinary opponents, and that the energy inside the strays was something they could not understand or control. And in the dark center of the nebula, a storm raged like a living entity, aware of the small human ship, the alien children, and the energy that pulsed like a heartbeat strong enough to challenge both hunters and legends. The Solace Dawn pushed deeper into the heart of the nebula, battered, shaking, and barely holding together. But Captain Hale stood firm on the bridge, eyes locked on the approaching hunter fleet and the massive Guardian shapes that swirled through the storm like ancient sentinels, while alarms screamed and red warning lights flashed across every console. The alien children huddled together in the safe chamber, gripping each other tightly, trembling as the ship jolted violently under the storm's pressure. Ryland sat in the center, her glowing blue energy pulsing stronger than ever, and she could feel the heartbeat of the nebula around her, the strange ancient pulse matching her own, merging into one rhythm of power and fear. Tila whispered, "It's so bright it's scary." And Ryland shook her head, fear twisting her chest. "It's okay. I can feel them. They won't hurt us if I focus." The doctor watched in awe as the energy expanded outward, humming through the ship's metal, weaving into the engines, the shields, and the walls. On the bridge, Hale's crew coordinated every move with the ship's systems, firing lasers, defensive drones, and energy nets to intercept the incoming hunter missiles. while the storm outside threw bolts of ion lightning against the hull like furious fists. The officer shouted, "Captain, they're regrouping for a full strike. 8 ships, weapons armed, closing fast." Hale's jaw tightened. "Prepare every system for impact. Shields at maximum. Keep the children safe." Outside, the hunters accelerated, firing in unison, red beams cutting through the blue storm, striking the outer shields, making them hum and flare under the pressure. The Solace Dawn rocked violently, throwing crew and equipment to the floor, and Reelan pressed her hands against the wall of the safe chamber, focusing all her energy outward, feeling it expand into a protective bubble around everyone inside. "I can feel them," she whispered. "The Guardians, they're helping me." The doctor's eyes widened. "It's true. Your energy is resonating with theirs. You're controlling the shield beyond human limits." Reelan shook her head, sweat dripping from her forehead, fear twisting her voice. "I don't know how long I can hold it." The Guardians outside moved closer, massive forms glowing with ethereal light, circling the ship, their eyes focused on the energy she radiated. They were not attacking. They were observing, waiting, and responding to the pulse of ancient power that had awakened inside her. Hale's hands gripped the rails, watching the reading spike as the hunter's missiles struck the shields, only to be deflected, some exploding harmlessly in space, others spinning away into the storm. "They're holding. She's holding," the officer shouted in disbelief. But the hunters were relentless, launching wave after wave, determined to destroy the Solace Dawn and capture the children. Each strike made the ship groan, the hull bending under pressure, sparks flying from damaged panels. Hale barked orders. "All countermeasures active. Fire at engines only. Disable, do not destroy." The ship's guns fired precise shots, striking hunter engines, and several ships were thrown off course, colliding with each other in the storm. Reelan felt her energy surge as the pulsing light from her veins expanded, flowing into the ship, amplifying every system, making the shield stronger, the engines respond faster, and the weapons strike more accurately. "Focus on protection," she cried, and the children instinctively pressed together, feeling the warmth and safety radiating from her glow. Outside, the Guardian Titan rose above the nebula clouds, enormous, ancient, glowing with power, its eyes locked on Reelan. The energy in her body flared brighter, almost like lightning dancing along her veins, and the Titan slowly lowered its massive head, its gaze meeting hers. She felt its awareness, ancient and deep, probing her mind, testing her strength, her courage, and her will to protect. Hale watched in awe as the Guardian shifted slightly, moving between the ship and the hunter fleet, as if forming a living barrier, buying time for the Solace Dawn. The hunters hesitated for the first time, sensing the ancient power, confused by the Guardian's intervention and the strange energy they could not understand. Reelan whispered, trembling, "I won't let them hurt anyone, not the humans, not the children, not the Guardians." Her glowing energy expanded even further, and the shields around the ship flared with blinding blue light, forcing the hunters to retreat momentarily. Hale ordered, "Hold course. Keep the energy focused on shields. Don't let them break through." The hunters launched one final wave, desperate and furious, their engines blazing, weapons locked, but every attack was met with Reelan's pulsing power amplified by the Guardians. The ship shuddered violently, but the shields held firm, and the children felt warmth and safety inside the protective aura. Reelan's energy surged one last time, brighter than ever, and the Guardians outside let out a low, rumbling roar that echoed through the nebula, shaking the storm violently. The hunters faltered, their formation breaking, engines failing under the combined force of the Guardians and Reelan's energy. Hale watched with a mixture of relief and awe as the hunter fleet scattered, retreating into the distance, red lights fading into the storm. The storm itself seemed to calm slightly, the nebula pulsing softly around the Solace Dawn. Inside the safe chamber, Reelan sank to the floor, exhausted, the glow in her veins slowly dimming. Tila hugged her tightly, whispering, "You saved us." The doctor smiled, tears in his eyes. "You did more than save us. You controlled something that hasn't been touched in centuries." Hale stood at the chamber doorway, voice calm but filled with pride. You all survived. The children, the ship, the nebula. We survived because of courage, trust, and protection. This energy inside you, Reelan, saved everyone today. Outside, the Guardian Titan lingered in the clouds, massive eyes still glowing faintly, before slowly retreating into the nebula depths. The remaining hunter ships were gone, fleeing into the void, unsure when they would return. The Solace Dawn floated battered but alive, the storm settling, the blue light from Reelan's energy now a soft glow, filling the ship with warmth and hope. And for the first time since they had been rescued, the alien children felt safe, knowing humans, guardians, and one extraordinary girl had protected them against impossible odds, proving that even the smallest and most forgotten strays could change the fate of many in a universe full of hunters, storms, and ancient powers.